Welcome back, everybody. It's Three Dog coming at you from the coronavirus wastelands. Actually, no, it's T2 coming at you from America. Listen, everybody. I'm assuming most of you guys are like me. You've been staying home, watching TV, playing video games. The coronavirus quarantine hasn't really affected your life all that much because you don't go out that much anyway. And probably you haven't really been watching the news that much because I don't really read the newspapers or watch TV news until like recently. And I've been reading CNN every day, and Fox News a little bit, and it's kind of getting crazy. There's been a lot of stuff going on. I don't know if you guys know about it. So if you haven't, I'm gonna catch you up. Been putting out the content like a video per day, just to kind of keep you guys busy, have something for you to watch during the quarantine, coronavirus, pandemic. And Craft Chest also has been putting out like a video every day. I think he's trying to keep up with me. He's putting out like cooking videos every day. He's making some kind of barbecue and all kinds of shit. Yesterday I actually put out 2 videos because I had a dang bird in the house. This video is probably going to be like an hour long, I'm assuming. Because I've got a whole page full of notes. And I've got a whole page full of Tiger King notes also. So that video is coming. And the one thing I've noticed that in common with the coronavirus and Tiger King is that both of them have made us realize that being rich and having power and being in charge of things has nothing to do with your abilities or your intelligence. Like my Field Rangers idea of having a meritocracy. We got to make America not great again, but we got to make America like where being smart is important again. Like if you're good at stuff and figuring things out, you know how things work, you should be the ones running the show. Like Germany. Germany has Angela Merkel, and she's used to be a scientist. And guess what? Germany's handling the coronavirus pretty well. But not us. We've known for a long time that the people that are in charge, the billionaires, they don't work harder than the common man. And they're definitely not smarter than the common man. They just got lucky. It's like winning the lottery. Or they inherited it from somebody that did actually know what they were doing. And then the people that currently have, like Donald Trump, he inherited a small loan of $1 million and then he got rich off of that. It's not because he's actually done a lot of things or knows how to make deals. So he actually went bankrupt several times, and like this is the part in running the country that he would just declare bankruptcy and solve all his problems that way. Man, this truck's really loud. So I'm going to go back in the news cycle. Today we had some really big news, but we're going to get to that last, I suppose. I've got a little clip of me showing you how to be pro at wearing rubber gloves, which I might put at the. What was the first thing that happened? I'm going back through all these news stories. Let's go back to the stimulus. I've already made a video, I think, about the Wall Street was just collapsing. They were throwing $1.5 trillion at it a day, and it was just not doing anything. Everybody was just bailing out on the economy, selling everything because everything was looking like, it's a pandemic. Everything's going to go to an apocalypse, basically. We're in an apocalypse right now. So they also released a bunch of stimulus packages. I think we're on like 3.5 right now. The one that gave us the money, the regular common person, started out, it was going to be like $1,000 stimulus. Everybody, like $500 a child and $1,000 an adult. They raised it to $1,200. A lot of people had trouble getting their stimulus. Not a big deal. Donald Trump made sure that his name was on the checks, or the paper checks that went out, which was kind of a big deal. That was a news story. There was a couple of people in Florida and Indiana, I think, that got like $8.5 million or something. Somehow somebody made a really bad typo. I don't know how you type 8.5 million instead of 1,200, but they just looked in their bank account one day and they were millionaires. They had $8.5 million from their stimulus. And then to make matters even worse, it's not really worse, I just don't understand how this happens. IRS or the government, whoever pays the stimulus, they just took the money back. I mean, I understand that that's how you would eventually get them to take the money back because they made a mistake. But how did they take it back? That's really interesting because anybody can just go to the bank and say, hey, I want to give this person money. I want to deposit money into their bank account. So the IRS, they have your details from when you filled out your tax forms from this year or last year. So if you had it direct deposited, they just use that same information and they direct deposit it into your account. Anybody can do that. That's just giving somebody money. But taking money out of your account, nobody should be able to take money out of your account. That's insane. How do they get the money out of there? Unless it's one of those things like if you charge a credit card, you can do a chargeback. Or if you donate to a Twitch streamer, you can charge that back. But once the money's deposited into your bank, I don't see how you ever get that money out without at least have to verify it with the person's account holder and the bank, and everybody has to agree that they're taking the money back. But otherwise, it seems like it'd be fuck all they could do about it if you fucked up and gave somebody $8 million by accident. So then, keeping with the stimulus, they were talking about, who was it? Tim Ryan, I think's his name. Congressman and some other congressmen were talking about, this $1,200 isn't enough money. We need to actually increase it to $2,000. And we need to do this every month for 6 months or until the pandemic is over with. And that sounds great to me, but it's still just throwing money at a problem. It's not really solving the problem. So I was trying to do the math on this. And I was estimating the U.S. population at 500 million because I was overestimating. I wanted to make sure that there was going to be enough money to actually do this. And the actual population of the U.S. is 386 million, so I overshot it by a lot. But I was figuring 500 million people times 2,000 is $1 trillion. And that's every month. So, for comparison, the annual military budget of the United States is 800 and something billion. It's not even $1 trillion. So that would have been more than the annual military budget. That's the biggest thing we spend money on. I don't know if that counts the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. I'm pretty sure it does, though, because that's part of the military budget. But Andrew Yang was talking about he was going to give everybody $1,000 a month, which is half of, if it's 386 million times 2,000, it comes out to 800 or 686 billion a month. So not quite $1 trillion, but it's still how do you afford that? So there's a lot of people debating right now about universal basic income and if that's feasible or not. And it doesn't really. Well, if you got rid of the military budget completely, that's yearly though. This is monthly. I don't see how it's possible, but I've read a lot of science fiction books that have it, and it seems like it's a foregone conclusion that with robots taking jobs and stuff, you kind of have to have a universal basic income at some point just so people can live. So that's a lot of money. That's way more money than we have. That's going to put us in debt insane. So what are the repercussions of going in trillions and trillions of dollars of debt? I remember when the debt was 14 trillion and everybody was freaking out about it and panicking. I think this is eventually going to lead to either the American dollars are going to collapse. We're going to have to go with a different kind of currency, maybe Bitcoin or some other kind of the euro. I don't even know. I don't know what we're going to have to do. We're fucked. Basically, we're fucked. Just on all this throwing money at the problem, stimuluses and bailouts. In a capitalist society, when you have companies that fail, they're supposed to fail. You can't just keep giving them bailouts and letting them cheat the system because they're your friends. That's not how it works. If you do that, you're not a real capitalist society. You're something else. We're socialist for rich people, but we're capitalist for poor people. So that's a big deal. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because this is kind of recent. The oil prices have gone negative for a barrel of oil, crude oil. So what that means is the gas prices are still $1.35 here. I don't know where you guys live, but when the ships come in from these other countries that we get our oil from, I think a lot of it is coming from Canada and shale oil right now. But when the ships arrive, it costs a certain amount of money just to transport the barrels of oil over the ships into the processing refineries and then out to all the gas stations and stuff. It actually costs more than the price of the oil, so it's gone negative. So the price of a barrel of oil is, I give you money to take my oil. That's how much it costs right now. So right now, it hasn't really gotten to the gas stations yet because they're going off of oil before it was negative, I assume, because you only fill your tanks up every so often. So here in about, a month, every 2-3 weeks maybe you fill up the tanks? You're going to be getting oil because, oil doesn't just keep its potency forever. It goes bad. So if you've already produced a bunch of oil, which all these countries were doing because they were kind of Russia and Syria or something was fighting over how much oil they could produce, and they were overproducing while the demand was going down because everybody's stuck at home and they can't drive their cars. So everybody's using way less oil. There's way less demand, but we have a glut of oil produced. Therefore, the price has gone negative. I don't know if they're still producing it. We should just halt production completely right now because you're using all these resources and spending money to get oil that you're going to pay people money to take from you. So why would you do that? You wouldn't. So they're not going to make any. So guess what? Here in a couple of weeks, there's not going to be any oil. We're not going to have any gas. So if you like driving your car, the next couple of weeks is probably going to be your last chance to do that because I'm predicting there's not going to be gas in about a month. I don't know what's going to happen. It's bad. It's real bad. I should go buy a bicycle, actually, just to have an option. Shit, I might do that, actually. Unless the price goes back up, which I don't see how it could. How could it even go back up? There's no demand. I mean, if the economy restarts and everybody goes back to work, then everybody will be driving their cars again and the demand will go back up. But you just can't. You can't reopen the economy right now. Everybody wants to restart everything back up. It doesn't know how it works. You need an economic pause button. You got to stop everything for a while. You got to, not charge people their mortgages and rents and all this kind of stuff. Okay, here's if you want to get deep into it. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC from now on. I'm just going to call her AOC because it's easier. If you don't know who AOC is, she's like this 20-something-year-old bartender, used to be, and she got elected to Congress. And she's like an upcoming superstar. The liberals love her. The Republicans hate her. And it's almost funny how much Fox News and the Republicans hate AOC, because they're constantly looking for bad pictures of her, and they take weird pictures of her with her big teeth sticking out like a donkey, and they make fun of her looks because it's all they can make fun of, because she's fucking smart and she's right about everything she says, and they can't stand it. My mom and dad hate her, and they're huge Fox fans. I like AOC. So AOC tweeted the other day that she was glad that the oil companies have failed, because if you're an environmentalist like a liberal, you wouldn't want big oil to be succeeding. You want them to fail. If you're in a true democracy and a true capitalism, then the companies that fail are replaced by companies that are actually good. You want to get rid of all these big pharma, big oil, and companies that have ruined America. So it's great that they're in the negative, because that means all these rich tycoons from dinosaur technology are going to go out of business, and we're going to have to replace them with green technology, and it's actually going to make the planet sustainable, and we're going to live a little bit longer. That's what she meant by it, but everybody's going to misinterpret it and confused by what it means. So everybody thinks that she just hates people and wants everybody to die or something. I don't know. She's saying this is the perfect opportunity for us to switch to green technology. If you guys remember, this was back in this was in the 2000s, I think. It wasn't in the 90s. A guy came on YouTube and he invented a hydrogen-powered car engine. You could run your car using water as fuel, or was it hydrogen as fuel, and then the byproduct was water? Water would come out of your exhaust pipe. And there was somebody recently on Joe Rogan that were talking about this guy. He was all these tech trade conventions. He was at all these conventions. Year after year, he would see this guy, and then once he came out with that engine, they vanished him. Whoever, the government or big oil or somebody. This might be a conspiracy, but he just disappeared. I don't know what happened to his patent. If his patent still exists, if you could still make one of these engines, or if they would come after you and hunt you down. But they figured out a way to make oil obsolete, where you don't have to. It's going to be obsolete anyway because it's non-renewable. We're going to run out of it. He figured out a way to solve all of our problems, and they killed him probably, or shipped him to some country and won't let him talk about it. I don't know what happened. This guy just vanished. So we need to get back on top of that. We need to get solar and wind going. I've had a lot of ideas for how to turn parking lots into solar, rechargeable stations and stuff for electric cars, but nobody cares about that because it doesn't make as much money. They don't care about making the world better. They just care about lining their pockets while they're alive. That's the long-term repercussions of the oil problem. I mean, if we're not going to have the dollar and we're not going to have gas, that's pretty bad already. We don't have money. We don't have gas. One good thing about this that I like is I'm getting to see a lot of comeuppances. My favorite thing in the world is to see bad people doing bad things get karma in their face. So the main people that have been getting the comeuppances have been preachers and people that think the coronavirus is a hoax. Hoaxers. I mean, the preachers, they were trying to sell this fake coronavirus cure, some kind of silver stuff. Alex Jones was doing it too, and they made him stop. And they also said they're going to keep having their religious rallies because they don't believe in the coronavirus. They think Kenneth Copeland, he's on TV pointing at the TV and he's blowing on it, and he's trying to pray it away and command it to leave in the name of Jesus. And one of these guys in Florida, I think it was, he kept saying, we're going to keep having our services, we're going to keep having church, and he ended up dead. There's been 2 or 3 of them, I think. There's been another guy, one of these hoaxers, he says, I don't think this coronavirus stuff is real. Now he's dead of the coronavirus. So that's great. There was a question about whether it's unconstitutional to keep people from gathering in a religious gathering because it's a freedom of religion thing. You can't stop people from practicing their religion, right? No, of course you can stop people from practicing their religion. We don't allow people that believe in human sacrifice to human sacrifice people and kill people because it's their religion. We shouldn't allow people to be snake handlers because it's too dangerous. I mean, the rattlesnakes, they'll kill you. I mean, it's like kind of like suicide, but just people being dumb, think it's not going to kill them. Another thing is the hoaxers. The hoaxers didn't believe it was real. And even now, I watch a lot of these guys on YouTube. They're like First Amendment auditors. They go around filming the police, filming different things. And I saw one the other day, he went to like this hospital in New York or New Jersey, and they had like tents set up out front, I guess for like coronavirus trauma, whatever unit. And there's just a bunch of nurses sitting in it, and they didn't have any masks on or PPE, and they're all like within 6 feet of each other, like not social distancing. And he thought he caught them, like there's nothing really going on here. These hospitals ain't full. You're not like overtaxed and coronavirus is driving everybody crazy. And it does looks like a lot of these nurses that come out, they're crying that they've had such a hard day and people are dying and stuff. They don't ever show a lot of coronavirus patients like actually dying. You'll see pictures of like them loading up a truck or throwing corpses into mass graves, that kind of thing, but you don't actually see. I saw a few videos of people dying from coronavirus, but you don't see like the numbers that they're coming out with. The hoaxers that think it's not real, it's almost like if you think it's like a complete hoax and like all these nurses are involved in it, that's crazy. Because you probably believe that the moon landing is real. And a lot of people argue that the moon landing they couldn't be fake because there'd be so many people you'd have to like convince of the lie or that they'd be in on it. You're talking about like millions of nurses, or maybe not millions, but like hundreds of thousands of hospital workers and nurses and everybody that are all in on this hoax. And even like people in government like Chris Cuomo and stuff is like on a hoax, and people that are supposedly have the virus. That's just even crazier. But I think what could be potentially kind of a hoax is that it's being over-reported, that people are dying from stuff that's not coronavirus, but they had coronavirus symptoms. So like normally you have so many people die from flu or die from pneumonia. But when coronavirus appeared in the United States, all those numbers supposedly went down to zero. The normal people that would normally just die from pneumonia or flu. So all those are being counted as coronavirus. So the numbers are being jacked up, and there's way more deaths attributed to coronavirus that aren't really coronavirus. And at first we all thought it was only going to affect old people, like people that couldn't deal with the pneumonia part of it, and like coughing and breathing, and their bodies just aren't like tough enough to deal with that kind of a thing. So you think like, it's going to weed out all the weak people. And you see all these memes of like a meteor hitting a dinosaur, and the dinosaur is labeled boomer. So it's going to kill out the old generation nobody likes. And it's just going to like weed out the undesirable people from the population. Which I'm not opposed to. Like, we're overpopulated anyway, so like having a big decimating virus was eventually going to happen anyway. Just the earth is probably going to produce something like that just to like keep the earth from being destroyed. I don't know if that's how it works, but it seems like that's kind of how it works. You have China that's over-polluted and overpopulated, and that's where the virus comes from. It seems kind of weird that turned out that way. But then you hear stories of like 21-year-olds dying and like little like 12, 16-year-old or something dying from the virus. And if you wonder, is that because it actually is dangerous to people within the age group, or is it that they cherry-picked like these kids that maybe already had asthma or pre-existing conditions made them more susceptible to dying from pneumonia or some of the symptoms of COVID-19. So that kind of a thing maybe could be real, but it's not like a conspiracy. It's just like they're pumping up the numbers. Now, let's get into some more recent news. So we got this woman that's the mayor of Las Vegas. If you haven't seen this interview with Anderson Cooper, basically she's all for reopening and restarting the economy, having all these states just business as usual, start back up. And they actually released a new list of businesses that were considered essential, or was it the businesses that were able to be reopened? And they snuck in gyms. Now, gyms is like the worst place you would want to not the worst place, but like one of the worst places, because people use the same equipment and they sweat, and everybody's like touching the same thing. You got to have somebody to spot you if you're lifting weights, for example, and then you get all sweaty, and then somebody uses the machine after you. Why would you put gyms on there? So, like, a lot of these people that own gyms turned out to be, like, people that are like super rich and they know Trump. So he put it at like the very bottom of the list. It kind of snuck it in there. So then this Las Vegas mayor, she's saying like, yeah, we got to have Las Vegas reopened. We're like an entertainment capital of the world. We got to have... She didn't really say she wanted to have the casinos open, but then Anderson Cooper kept pressuring her like, are you saying like we should open the restaurants and the bars and cinemas and stuff where people gather? She's like, yeah. And he's like, well then, and she said, yeah, I'm open for opening everything. And he's like, everything? Oh, so that would include the casinos and places where people would go around touching everything and being like close to each other. And she's like, well, I don't own a casino, so that'd be up to them. And then like, if the business turns out to have COVID-19, then those businesses should just fail. And they should... She doesn't care about it. Like, people are coming from all over the United States to go to Las Vegas, and then they take the COVID-19 back to their states, and then everybody gets infected. Millions of people die because of some dumbass that's in charge. This is what I'm saying. We can't let idiots be in charge anymore. If it was up to me, I would say we just go out, gangbang, groups of guys with guns. We hit all the rich people, drag them out of their houses in the street, murder them, take all their money. Give it to smart people. Everybody that's in charge right now, just go through Congress. Just wipe them all out. Trump, Congress, Senate, mayors, governors, everybody. Unless they have like a PhD, or they're like a scientist or an engineer, or they can prove that they're actually smart. Because it's just like everything else. It's all about who you know. It's about whether you're good looking or not. It's all about sex. A lot of it's just fucking. Just who do you want to fuck? Who's good at sports? Okay, you're in charge of everything. Who's been on a reality TV show? You're in charge of the fucking country. Who knows this guy? Oh, you're in charge. Here, you're a czar of something else. You're the coronavirus czar. Because you know this guy that was on a TV show that had a hot wife. Oh, okay. That's who should be running the show. Nah. Drag him all out in the streets. Shoot him in the head. Be done with it. We gotta start fresh. Case in point. Today, the dumbest thing Trump has ever said, I think. He just said it in front of the whole world. And then he tried to take it back. And he sounded even fucking dumber. If you don't know, today, Trump was having a meeting with his advisors. And he was talking about possible solutions to COVID-19. And there's this one woman named Burks. And she's sitting here watching this. And they get her reaction during his dumbest statement ever. And apparently they had been talking to him about how the virus, can't survive outside because of the sunlight. And when you disinfect, it kills it, like, within minutes. Rather than staying on surfaces for hours, if you disinfect something, it kills it within minutes. Like, Trump had a light bulb go off or something, and, like, everybody knows this. Everybody knows how disinfectant works. And how, like, viruses can't survive in sunlight outside. It's just, like, grade school bullshit that everybody knows. Not the people that run the world and the country. They're fucking retarded, clueless buffoons. Trump says, well, is there a way we can get the light inside the body? Or a way we can inject the disinfectant inside the body and kill it within minutes that way? Get the disinfectant in the lungs where all the coronavirus is and get the disinfectant in the lungs? So now the CEO or whatever, the manager of Lysol distribution, has to come out and make all these tweets like, please everyone, don't drink Lysol. Please don't eat our products. Oh my God. The president is going to cost us so many lawsuits because he said you should be injecting yourself with disinfectant. Oh fuck, we're screwed. What the fuck? How is anybody this dumb? He's talking about UV light or like shining light into your hand or your body or something and getting it to kill the virus. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. How is he even proposing to get sunlight into the body? What is he saying? What does he think? How does he think it works? And when you say something that's dumb, I was telling my mom this. Like, she didn't believe he even said it. And I said, no, this is what he said. And he was saying it in a way like he's asking the scientists and the doctors. He's like, hey, I'm not a doctor, but this stuff kills really quickly. Like soap and water kills it. Like disinfectant kills it. Is there a way we can like eat soap and water or disinfectant and get that inside the body and then kill it really quickly? Have y'all thought about this, doctors? Is this something that could work? But it's like, anybody with half a brain knows that you can't just go around drinking disinfectant. Anybody who's playing DayZ especially, that's how you kill somebody for fun. But like, it's going to make everybody realize that the people that are in charge are just fucking, there's mud in their brain. Like there's nothing in there. There's nobody at home. It also lets us know that whoever the president is, apparently it's not very important. The company's been running fine for 4 years on this guy that's a fucking idiot. So apparently being president isn't really a big deal. Anybody can do it. You can have a dog as the governor. There's actually dogs that are like mayors of cities. The cities get along fine because people being in charge, they're not really in charge. There's other ways that they get around having a central leader, I guess. Councils or something decide most of it, and you just have to have a dog put his paw print on it, and that's all you really need to do. I don't know. So we have no people in charge with any brains. We have the dollar is going to be disappearing pretty soon, and we're not going to have any gas to drive around in. So then we got protesters that are everybody's wanting to go back to work, so they're wanting to open the economy back up and let everybody get infected, and then everybody die. They're not really thinking it through. But these protesters, I have to wonder about some of you guys. Like, I guess you guys that are watching me, you're probably like me, you're gamers, you stay home, and it's all like not a big deal. But people are freaking out that they can't go to bars. They're freaking out that they can't go to the gym. And there's a lot of people freaking out because they can't get a haircut. They're taking protest signs like, I need a haircut. Fuck the elderly, fuck like 10% of the population. They're just going to have to die because my hair is getting a little bit long and it's starting to tickle my ears, starting to itch. And they're all probably married people that could just have their wife cut their hair or do it themselves. I think I cut my own hair for a while. It's not that big a deal. You just cut your hair, dude. You don't have to look perfect. You're going to risk people's lives because your hair is getting a little long? Is that really what we're coming down to? And then some of the protesters are taking guns. And a lot of people are complaining, like, what are you going to do with the gun at a virus protest? Are you going to shoot the virus? I mean, I kind of understand what they're coming from there. You take the guns because the cops are going to stop you from protesting if you don't have the guns. Because that's what the guns are for. They're not for... Well, they're for cops. Guns are for killing cops. Let's just all say it. Guns are for killing cops. You have a gun in your home... Not because of the home intruders too, but home invaders or people robbing you. But mostly it's for the cops. If the cops come into your home without a warrant, you shoot the fucking cops. That's what guns are for. Is anybody like confused about that? I mean, you can also shoot burglars with them, but the only time the cops beat the shit out of somebody and tase people on the streets and strip them of their rights is when there's not a bunch of people standing around with guns. Because then they'll be afraid to. So you have a bunch of guns to keep the cops in check. It's not really to shoot the cops. It's to keep them in check. And then if they start beating the shit out of somebody on the street, then it's your duty to shoot the cop because they're breaking the law. Another thing is these furloughs. You got people that are... I guess the bank furlough is a thing where like you don't have to pay your mortgage for 3 months, but then on the 4th month you have to pay all 4 months at the same time. And people don't understand that, like, when you're not working for 3 months, you're not making money. Therefore, you're not going to have that money to pay at the end of the 4 months. I mean, that was what I heard somebody say, but, like, I could pay, like, 6 or 7 months house payments right now if I had to. I mean, do people not have savings? If you don't know how to save money, you don't know how to spend money properly, you probably have no business buying luxury items or things that are, like, extra. Like, if you're a smoker or you drink or... you drive around a lot, wasting gas, like, you shouldn't be doing that. Don't do that until you have a good, like, I don't know, 3 to 6 months extra fucking mortgage payments in the bank. If you don't have extra money, don't be doing extra shit with it. Like, if you're just living paycheck to paycheck, it's the same thing with the toilet paper. Like, why does people not have a bunch of extra toilet paper at their house? It's not going to expire. Save that shit up. Save your money up. I mean, not now, because money's going to be useless here pretty soon. So all these bailouts get calculated, and the value of the dollar goes down to nothing. But before all this happens, you should have been saving your money up. Don't be having kids if you don't have money to, like, raise a kid extra. If you barely have enough to, like, feed yourself and get to work, and you're just struggling to pay your house payments and put gas in the car, don't be having sex. You can't afford to have a kid. Definitely don't be, like, drinking and smoking and, like, $5 a pack of cigarettes. Who can afford that? Even if you had extra money. That's crazy. But, like, paying an extra 3 months on your house payment, that shouldn't be a big deal. I guess most people do live paycheck to paycheck. Most people are about as dumb as Trump. Maybe y'all deserve to die. I don't know. Maybe we need to get rid of some of these dumbasses that ain't saving their money. They can't deal with a fucking haircut. And they're just going, like, stir crazy from being in their own house all day. I would love to just be at home all day. I'm going to work and I'm getting a stimulus check. I'm making out like a bandit during this whole thing. I'm getting double paid. I'm going to work and I'm getting paid for staying home. I'm getting, like, laid off every other week, so it's fun. That's actually the best, if you can get laid off every other week, because if you have unemployment, they try to make you find another job. But not if you have a definite return date and you know you're not going to be permanently unemployed. If it's a temporary thing, then it's like, oh, there's no point in finding another job because you'll be back next week. So that's basically all of my news stuff. And then we also got a bunch of dumb shit at work that I could tell you about. Like, we've had these surveys, people come in, like contractors have to answer these questions. Like, have you been to Iraq? Have you been to China in the last 21 days or something? I mean, that was before the coronavirus spread to all the countries pretty much. Now, like, you got Belgium or Spain or these other countries that are even worse on the list now. But, like, Italy was huge. But now we have these new questions we're going to start asking people. One of them is, have you traveled outside the region in the last 21 days? And it doesn't say what the region is. Like, what are we talking about here? Southeast Conference, NCAA rules? What are we doing? Is it a tri-county, county, state? What is a region? What does that mean? I mean, coronavirus is everywhere, so why would it even matter? And then you got the whole situation with asymptomatic people could be having the virus for 2 weeks and you don't even know it because they don't have any symptoms. So they won't have a fever. What's the point of checking temperatures if anybody could just have it and not show any signs of it? So it's real dumb. It's all real dumb. All right, so I just got home from work. Wore my gloves home. I was going to show you guys something. I actually ripped this one because if you can tell on the back of them, I was going to give you guys some pro tips. Pro tip number 1 is to like write on the back of your gloves. So if you take them off and put them back on, you can tell what's the outside, what's the inside. But like professionals will tell you if you ever take them off, never put them back on. Because I just watched this video from a doctor who was giving out some good information, but I'll tell you why he's kind of wrong. The doctor was saying, you imagine that your hands are covered in boogers and snot and stuff, right? So you go around, you touch things. Like if you go to the grocery store, you wear gloves. He was saying how stupid it is to wear masks inside of cars, wearing your gloves all over the place, and then you wear them too much, and then you start touching your face after you touch stuff with the gloves. And he was saying, like, the proper way to take your glove off is to pinch one of them and then roll it off like this. And then now that you're not touching the outside anymore, or wait, he said you actually take it all the way off. Then you take your hand and you curl the inside so you're not touching that. And you take this one off and then you grab the other one with this one. So now you've got them both inside there. And then now you're holding, well, if it wasn't ripped, you'd be holding both of them. But it ripped. So I painted some Wolverine claws on mine. I was back there with my claws and I was like seeing if it would look legit. And I clawed my own glove and put a little tiny hole in it and it just spread out and became a rip. So yeah, like I've done Spider-Man, I've done Iron Man. Sometimes I'll just put an X just so you know where the outside is. But today I went with Wolverine, snickety holes. So then you got both of your gloves like this. You're not touching anything dirty, then you drop it into the wastebasket. That's what his video was about pretty much. But by the way, I already washed those gloves like I would wash my hands, so I'm assuming that they're clean if it's true that soap kills COVID-19. If I even had COVID-19 on it. So he was saying you don't think he actually said never to reuse the same gloves, but like wearing them inside of a car and like when you're in a contaminated area is the only time you should be wearing them. Then as soon as you get to a clean area, you take them off and then you wash your hands again and then you're good to go. The problem he doesn't understand is that I don't wear the gloves to prevent COVID-19. And a lot of probably other workers that are like essential that are in my same position know that the reason you wear your gloves is so you don't get fired. Because people come up with these stupid rules that if you're caught not wearing your personal protective equipment, you can just be fired for not wearing it. So the only reason we wear stuff like face masks everywhere is because it's just easier to leave it on than take it off. And all we care about is the rule. You have to follow the rule wearing your PPE all the time. So it's not that we actually care about getting the virus because like I'm in a state where there's like less than 10 people in my county that there's that many cases, like less than 10. If you're living in New York, I'm sure you'd want to use these really strict guidelines and take your gloves off properly and change them all the time. But like, you also have to worry about the undersupply. Like gloves, I think we're fine on, but the masks around here are really scarce. I've been wearing the same face mask for since March 23rd. I had one incident where I thought I had a guy that had a high temperature, and at that point we're supposed to throw all our PPE out and get new PPE on and put it in a hazmat bag. So then I got a new one. I've been wearing the same one ever since then. That wasn't even a real case. But that was a guy that was he was so cold that I got my temperatures confused. He was actually hypothermic. I was I read a 90 degrees as 100 degrees. I forgot to show you guys the proper way. So he was saying also that you don't pull the gloves off like this because you're touching the contaminated outside part. See, I'm touching it. So what you want to do is, in my opinion, You never have the cuff. The cuff should never be getting dirty because you're never touching anything. So it's okay to touch the cuff. And then you do one of these. And you blow it up. Then you yank it off. But then I just touched the fingers again, didn't I? Maybe that's what he's talking about. Okay, yeah, he's right. You don't want to do that. But I've been doing that. And then if you want to put them back on again, and then there you go. If you got a hot chick coming in, you want to check her temperature, you give her one of these. Makes her think you're going to go anally. Turns her on. Makes her think you're going to go like this. So it's not really sexual harassment because for all she knows, you're just gloving up. Time to suit up. And then, she assumes. Can't prove anything. But we're doing like every precaution you can do. I've got a big face shield I've been wearing. I look like, what is this, Tachanka from Rainbow Six Siege. I've got my Wolverine gloves and I got my face shield on. And if I don't wear them, I could get fired. Hilarious. So yeah, that's pretty much the news. I'm expecting the headlines tomorrow to read something like, people have been dying from eating Lysol or injecting themselves with disinfectant. And that's going to be coming. That's pretty much it though. This has been the coronavirus special with T2.